grand showcase of India's thriving entrepreneurship ecosystem and innovative solutions at the second edition of the Startup Mahakumbh 2025, while startups set new benchmarks of excellence at the Bharat Mandapam in New Delhi recently. With the tagline Bharat Innovates, it was a stupendous platform witnessing a major congregation of entrepreneurs, founders, investors and policymakers exploring trends, investment landscapes, global expansion strategies for startups to scale new heights. In his keynote address, Piyush Goyal, Minister for Commerce and Industry, praised the innovative work of Indian startups, expressing confidence in India's potential in global innovation.
For us, your success story is not counted as, let's say, an average revenue per unit, not an ARPU that we get out of the startups participating in this Startup Mahakumbh. For us, the ARPU is the accelerated rise in your prosperity, ARPU, the accelerated rise per unit, per startup, showing your prosperity. And if you are prosperous, if you are able to benefit from the 10,000 crores Startup Fund of Funds second edition that was announced in this budget, if some of you can benefit from that, grow, maintain your ownership, but truly, let's try and get some more domestic capital coming into this ecosystem. You all are the sculptors of New India. You have to make Viksit Bharat 2047 happen.
While inaugurating the second edition of Startup Mahakumbh, Minister of State for the Ministry of Commerce and Industry and Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology, Jitin Prasada affirmed India's readiness to reform, perform and transform via its startup ecosystem.
India is ready for the challenge. We have the talent, we have the skills, we have the agile government, and we want to see that India, the vibrant India, which we will take forward together. And it's not only the government and the stakeholders here sitting on dais and on these leading lights, but every one of you who will contribute to that growth story of ensuring India does become a developed nation, a Viksit Bharat by 2047. We're going to go showcase to the world what India is about, and together with the government, the stakeholders, and you, above all, in front of me, together we will collaborate to work for a better, stronger, creative, and a more vibrant India so that we could fulfill our commitment to the people of India by making their lives better and changing it for the good.
Designed to inspire and empower entrepreneurs, the second edition of Startup Mahakumbh was replete with everything that the startup community would ask for. Resultant: the event drew participants in huge numbers. It witnessed a record footfall of 2.3 lakh visitors, underlining India's exponential growth trajectory in the innovation space.
There is something to be said for getting all ecosystem players into one place for 3 days, where connections are made, where ideas are exchanged, where people get inspiration, people get business, people get investment. So when you put in, thousands of founders and investors together, along with regulators and government, some magic happens. Make in India typically refers to manufacturing products and not to services. And I think that's one big thrust area for the government. Strategically, it's important for the country. And the government is putting special emphasis on manufacturing incubators and in encouraging investors to invest in manufacturing. So I think overall, it should get better in the next years to come.
From wide-ranging conversations around the startup ecosystem, with eminent speakers sharing their expert insights and views, to host of opportunities in different sectors, the second edition of Startup Mahakumbh hosted a splendid display of innovations and solutions from hundreds of exhibitors who attended the mega fair.
It's the best time in India to be an entrepreneur, and I'm so happy that now entrepreneurship also is being celebrated in the country. Initially, you have to be everyone, and then probably you can keep a team. And when you keep a team, you eventually have to grow. I think that is how the world evolves, that you need to get a team which will you have to keep upgrading your team and keep seeing who's the right fit, and who the right fit, then you keep upgrading the talent. Ask him to upgrade himself. If he doesn't upgrade, you have to help him train. Agar train nahi ho raha, to naye log lao, badho aage. Either you grow with the company, right? If you don't grow with the company has to grow. Then maybe your needs can come somewhere else. Then your skills can be used somewhere else, right?
India boasts of the third largest startup ecosystem in the world, and today it has more than 1.59 lakh startups recognized by the Department for Promotion of Industry and Internal Trade. With Startup India at 2047, unfolding the Bharat story as its theme.
Very good participation in this edition of the Bharat Mahakumbh, the Startup Mahakumbh, much more than we had in the last year. So the first day was very good, the second day was even better, and we have participation across the spectrum. All kind of startups are there. We have the D2C, the traditional D2C variety, which is actually, and actually there's a wide variety of D2C players also, who are all helping in some way or the other, improving the manner in which services are delivered to consumers, in which the manner in which products are delivered to the consumers. We also have some very good technology manufacturing startups. We had some deep techs also participating in this edition. We have the government programs in the space sector, which have promoted many startups in the satellite space, in providing services there, and also launching satellites. They were all there. We also had some startups who are in the construction space also, who are making equipments in the construction space. So there is a wide spectrum of startups who are participating in this Mahakumbh.
So Startup Mahakumbh is a celebration of what India has achieved over last 2 decades in entrepreneurship. Of course, in last 10 years, we have probably done extraordinarily well. This startup ecosystem now is reaching a stage where we wanted to showcase what India stands for under the great vision of the Prime Minister. Showcase what India stands for in the startup ecosystem to the world, and create a confluence of entrepreneurship, youth and excitement, and technology prowesses of India.
This year's Startup Mahakumbh featured 3,000 startups and included delegates from 50 countries among its attendees. Three times the scale compared to the debut edition. The second edition of Startup Mahakumbh, the venue was abuzz with excitement, with participants trying to make the most of this 3-day fair. The wide array of discussions dwelled on themes like technology, innovation, business models, funding to partnerships, with focus on sectors like AI, deep tech and cybersecurity, health tech and biotech, gaming and sports, fintech, incubators and accelerators, mobility, agri-tech, B2B and precision manufacturing, D2C, climate tech, and defense and space tech.
I've been witness to the enormous power that our entrepreneurs in our colleges have come out with ideas today. Right from ranging from AI-powered drones to a nurse robo to helping solve menstrual problems with a super technology. We've had startups from across the country coming in and pitching fantastic ideas. I think Startup Mahakumbh inspires people to get the best out of the innovative mindsets, to bring those ideas here, to network with the right kind of people, and hopefully very soon bring those ideas to life.
The second edition of Startup Mahakumbh has been shaping up the, really creating waves around the Indian startup ecosystem. It's a phenomenal event. It has energized the entire startup community in the country with over 3,000 plus startups, almost 2 lakhs plus visitors, and entire startup ecosystem, incubators, accelerators participating. It's just put a new level of energy into the Indian startup ecosystem. So I take this opportunity to congratulate everyone who's been part of this program, especially the startups who we wish to see more and more successful in the coming years.
You must have a good idea. You must not have. You must have a lot of patience and perseverance, and there is a lot of. It is a mature marketplace now. It is a mature ecosystem now, and I think your time will come. I think your time will come. You just need to join the dots. There's a lot of parallel activities happening in the economy. You need to be aware of it, and you need to leverage it and have a mutual beneficial relationship with all the stakeholders.
Supported by the Department for Promotion of Industry and Internal Trade and led by several industry bodies which are helping to build an enabling startup ecosystem in India, leaders and experts shared their perspective on the importance of these engagements to propel the growth of startups in India.
किसी भी देश को विकसित करने में सबसे बड़ा हाथ इनोवेशन का होता है और रिसर्च का होता है। स्टार्टअप इस पहल में सबसे आगे रहते हैं। किसी भी देश में जो टेक्नोलॉजिकल इनोवेशन और उन्नति होती है वो वहाँ का स्टार्टअप इकोसिस्टम ड्राइव करता है। मुझे विश्वास है कि विकसित भारत बनाने में स्टार्टअप इकोसिस्टम का भरपूर योगदान रहेगा।
Startup Mahakumbh is one kind of an event which has never happened in the past. This started last year with a vision of Honorable Minister of Commerce, Shri Piyush Goyal ji, wherein we all discussed that how can we have such kind of event wherein all the startups will get accumulated at a common place. And that happened last year, wherein we saw huge participation. There were more than 50,000 overall people who came into the event. There were more than 2,000 startups who participated, and there were more than 1,000 investors. But this year, you will be surprised that there are more than 100,000 unique visitors. There are more than 200,000 footfalls. There were more than 3,000 startups, and even as a matter of fact, there were more than 2,000 investors. और ये एक ऐसा इवेंट बन जाएगा इन द फ्यूचर जो सिर्फ हमारे देश में नहीं पूरे दुनिया के कोने-कोने में फैल जाएगा।
For startups to build successful businesses from ideas is an uphill task where they need mentorship, support in firming up ideas, and lastly, funding to fructify their vision to reality. At Startup Mahakumbh, venture capitalists and leaders share their take on various aspects of funding process and what are the key things to be kept in mind to have access to funds for setting up new or expanding businesses.
Events are very, very important to bring all the stakeholders together. Otherwise, a startup would need many months, maybe even a year or so to meet all the relevant stakeholders. Here, in a matter of 3 days, you can connect with investors, policymakers, the other peers, other startup founders. You can see what is going on overall in the ecosystem. And I think that's a very important part. Academia as well. There are R&D labs. So to meet whoever you need to meet, this would take a startup many, many, many months to do. So I think it's very important. It brings everybody together.
I think the Startup Mahakumbh is the greatest confluence of entrepreneurship and investors that India has actually seen, for that matter. I think it's a great way to end up actually showcasing the entrepreneurial talent that exists within the country. And the pavilions that have actually been chosen in Startup Mahakumbh as of now are fantastic to end up actually showcasing the deep level of innovation that the country actually has. I think in whatever variety of business that exists or any interaction for that matter, I think every Indian has actually interacts with a startup or a startup's product or service, and showcasing that on a yearly basis is a phenomenal idea that the government is actually taken up. I think you've seen the numbers and the mills of people who are actually walking around on the same. That just shows a high amount of latent activity that exists within the country itself.
The Startup Mahakumbh version 2.0, I think, is a bigger success than last year. You can see the energy here. It's at least 3 times bigger than what we did in the inaugural edition, and it inspires both the venture capitalists, the government, the future entrepreneurs to really think big and then solve for India, solve for Bharat, take successful products from India to the world, and then build on the success that we have had in 9 years plus years of Startup India to now the second stage of Startup India, if I can call it, change gears to be now doing consumer tech, fintech, logistics, and everything else that India has done very well in, but use that experience, use that mentorship, use that capital to now build the Startup 2.0 2.0 based on R&D, based on research, based on AI, deep tech, space tech, longevity, healthcare, and solve the tough problems that India is supposed to be solving for the world. So this is the key message from the Startup Mahakumbh. The energy here is massive.
Along with the DPIIT booth, the DRDO, SIDBI, and GEM booths saw a significant surge in the number of visitors, with the union budget earlier this year allocating larger grants for seed and early stage startups. Dozens of young entrepreneurs were seen discussing incentive structures, grant deadlines, and IP filings with the ministry officials. The second edition of Startup Mahakumbh in Delhi also saw countries like South Korea, Sri Lanka, UAE, and Vietnam showcasing their innovations. Indian states stepped up too. Telangana, Tamil Nadu, Gujarat, Assam, Bihar, Meghalaya, and many others sponsored hundreds of pods to support their startups.
This is my first night in Startup Mahakumbh. As a deep tech company, I can see that there's a lot of startups showcase that very impressive to me, especially in drone mobility and also in space tech. I truly impressed with the energy and the ambitious and also the technical know-how out of depth on what they are working on.
The event also witnessed the presence of celebrities and influencers who also showed their interest in startup businesses and some unique innovations that took everyone by surprise. Another very compelling component that got the spotlight was the Startup Maharathi Awards, which recognized winners of the Startup Maharathi Challenge, which aims to identify, nurture and empower innovative startups across India. It was a celebratory moment for all the winners who got chosen through a multi-phase evaluation structure, ensuring high-quality curation through pitch deck reviews, expert video interactions and live pitches.
महारथी वो होता है जो हाईली स्किल्ड वॉरियर होता है और आप सबके पास स्किल है, आप सबके पास टैलेंट है, आप सबके पास आत्मविश्वास है, आप सब योद्धा हैं। आपका उत्साह, आपकी काबिलियत, आपकी जो क्षमता मैं देखता हूं, जो पोटेंशियल मुझे आप सब पे दिखता है, मेरा विश्वास है कि ये अमृत काल में भारत को विकसित भारत बनाने के लिए, भारत को नई ऊंचाइयों तक पहुंचाने के लिए आप सबका योगदान ही भारत का भविष्य निर्माण करेगा.
As one of the flagship initiatives under Startup Mahakumbh 2025, Startup Maharathi Challenge focused on discovering, showcasing and supporting India's most promising early and growth stage startups across 10 high-impact sectors.
This challenge is special because this is the first time all of us have heard of grand challenges in this country. We have had a grand challenge once in 3 months, once in 6 months. We have had, 1 or 2 challenges happen. But has anybody thought of having tens and hundreds of grand challenges in this country? No. So this is an effort by the government to not just encourage deep startups with just words from their side, but with true action. The idea was that we create 11 challenges. And from these 11 challenges, we got 2,400 startups that were evaluated. And from the 2,400 startups, 240 startups that have been selected to get grants. This is not money where the government or the private entity here is taking any equity. It is equity free. It is a free grant to the company without any equity. These startups get not only cash prizes, but recognition from DPIIT and recognition from the government, which will motivate them to go and build, these next generation of startups.
The second edition of Startup Mahakumbh 2025 was a sign of times to come, where entrepreneurs and their innovations will transform the business landscape with their products and services. It celebrates the spirit of innovation rooted in India's heritage, fueled by cutting-edge technology. It embodies a bold vision for empowering grassroots entrepreneurs, integrating tradition with technology, and building a sustainable, inclusive ecosystem to establish India on the global center stage for its vibrant startup culture and innovation.